Hey everyone, so this is attempt 2 at the eyeshadow video. I think the problem that we had with the last one was that the video was really long, so it wouldn't upload. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do some of the non-essentials off camera, and I'll just pause the video and come back to you. So let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I've already done my eyebrows off camera. Just wanted to add, if there's anything else you want to see me do, just put a little comment underneath and I'll do that. Also, I'm not going to mention product names in this video because I don't know what the protocol or the legalities are of that. So if you want to know what something is that I've used, again, put something in the comments and I'll get back to you. Okay, so as you can see, as I said, eyebrows are done. Very first really important step to my eyeshadow that I do is primer. You can use a special eye primer or you can use concealer and set it with powder if you like, but it's just personal preference. So I just dot it over the eyelid. A little bit goes a long way, so you really don't need all that much. And sometimes if you use too much, it ends up really sticky and then the eyeshadow doesn't blend properly and it ends up with a bit of a mess. So you just kind of pat it into the skin. You don't need to go crazy with it, you know, like you just pat it in and it just makes like a really nice base for the eyeshadow, makes the colours look a lot brighter, makes it easier to blend, just makes life easier for everything that you do after this point in time. So I'm just taking it right up to the bottom of my eyebrows and just kind of blending it out so that it's even and there's not a big blob in one area, so that the eyeshadow will be uneven in that area. Okay, so now that we've got our eye primer on, we're going to go ahead and tape up. One of the questions that I get asked all the time is, how do you get your eyeliner and everything so straight? Well, there's no occult reason for that. I don't have the steadiest hand in the history of the universe. I use tape. Now, this is just a really cheap craft tape from Kmart. It's kind of plasticky, so the eyeliners don't bleed through it because it's not porous like masking tape or something like that. So just makes life easier for me, and again, personal preference. So I'm just going to like line it up with the corner of the outside edge of my eye, and I'm actually going to make a straight diagonal line with the end of my eyebrow. Okay, so I'm just going to smooth it right down because sometimes if you get bubbles in it, the eyeliner can actually bleed underneath the tape and then you've got a really big mess that you need to fix up later. Okay, so we're all taped up. Yeah, I know, it's a really attractive look, isn't it? But it's a means to an ends. Just makes everything easier. Now, we're going to be using some really nice blue greens today. Again, not mentioning brands, but if you would like to know anything about things that I use, just shoot me a comment. Okay, so this eyeshadow look is an extended cut crease. Well, that's what I call it anyway, because we're cutting the crease on the eyelid, but we're going to extend it right out to the edge of the end of the eyebrow instead of just stopping it at the middle. Okay, so I usually use 3 blending colours for my upper eyelid. I use a dark shade in the crease or just above the crease. Then I use a medium shade, and then I use a really, really light blending shade. So I'm going to go today with a dark green colour. I'm just using a small eyeshadow brush, and I'm just patting it into the crease on my eyelid. And I usually go around in a circle and take it down to the tape. And then I start at the edge of my eyebrow and I just kind of join them up. Just like that. So I usually do about 3 layers of eyeshadow, just personal preference. Basically, you just place the shadow until you get the level of colour that you want. I'm just going to go ahead and place the other layers off camera, and also I'm going to do the other eye as well. Okay, so we've got our first colour. You can see how it follows the shape of the eyelid and then flicks up towards the end. Now I've just got a flat, little bit fluffy eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going to place the next colour, which is going to be like a medium biscuit brown, above that green colour that I've just done. So I'm just, again, patting it above the colour that I've just done, and I'm just following the shape that I made during the first run through with the first colour of eyeshadow. I actually have a mirror next to me, that's why I keep facing towards the left here, because it's a magnifying mirror and I can't see very well. So you can see the brown above the green there. Now again, I'm just going to pause the video and go put the rest of the eyeshadow on off camera, just to save on time, to increase the chance that we actually get this video uploaded today. So I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay guys, as I said before, where I do 3 different colours on my lid. So I've got a large fluffy eyeshadow blending brush, whatever, and I'm going to use like a light beige brown just to blend everything together. I'm just dabbing the brush in it, and then I'm going to tap the excess powder off, just because we want to soften everything. We don't want to add too much colour. So I'm just, again, dabbing it above the previous colour, which is that biscuit brown colour. But I'm kind of going back and forth a lot more this time, so that I'm softening and blending everything. I'm just rubbing over the top of that line so that we just soften everything and we don't have any harsh lines. So I'm just getting a bit more, again tapping off the excess, and I'm just going to pat it above again. But then when I go back, I'm going to use small circular motions to smooth out and blend any harsh lines. I actually woke up with a bit of a sore throat this morning, so my voice is a little bit not at optimum. So I'm just going back and forth over the top of that line just to soften everything. We don't want any harsh lines, we just want to make everything look really soft. Okay, again, I'm tapping off the excess powder, and this time I'm not patting it in, I'm just smoothing it over the top. kind of rubbing back and forth over the top of that line with the brush, just so that everything blurs and looks a bit softer. Now in a second, I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye off camera, but this blending step is probably the key to everything, so don't worry about how long you spend doing this, because blending is everything. If everything's not properly blended, it doesn't look soft, it just looks really harsh, and we don't want anything to look really harsh. So I can still see a bit of that line there, so I'm just going back and forth over the top, but I'm not adding any more product, because as I said, we don't want to add a whole heap of product. It's just for blending purposes only, really. So I'm just following the shape of my eye socket, and you can see now that's starting to look really kind of faded and soft. So yep, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and off camera do the other eye, and then when I come back we're going to start cutting the crease. Okay everyone, so our blending is done, both eyes, and it's time to cut the crease. Now I'm going to use another different eye base to do this. Again, you can use concealer and set it with powder, total personal preference. So I'm just going to squeeze a small amount, because again with these things a little bit really does go a long way, and I've just squeezed a small amount onto the back of my hand, and I'm just going to use a really flat eyeshadow brush to do this. So I'm just dabbing it in, and I'm just going to dab it over the center of my eyelid, really close to the lash line, because in a minute I'm going to show you a little trick to make a good line for your cut crease. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put my head down, but I'm going to roll my eyes up so that the product we've just put on the edge of the eyelid touches up onto the eye socket where the natural crease is. So I'm just going to look up, and then I'm just going to look round to each side so that it gives us that nice rounded shape. Okay, that's really light and you're not going to be able to see it, so I'm just going to put on a little bit more product and we'll see what we get this time. Okay, so you can see there we've got the beginnings of a line at the top of the eyelid there in the crease. So we're just going to use that as a guide. So we're just going to run the edge of the brush around the eye socket just to give that curved shape. And then I'm going to just start placing the product in the inner corner and just working it back towards the middle so that we create that line. So you can see there that I've got the shape starting to appear, and now we're going to extend it out to the bottom edge of the eyebrow there to give it that extended cut crease. So I'm just placing my brush at the center of my eye, and I'm just using short strokes to extend it out, and then I'm just flicking it up until it meets up with the tape. as you can see there, it's now meeting up with the edge of the tape. And then later on when I fix up my eyebrows, I'll just pencil in a little bit more length on that eyebrow tail, and then they'll meet up. So now I'm just going to take a little bit of extra product and I'm just going to pat it over the entire eyelid. This particular one that I'm using, you don't usually have to set it with powder. It just dries really nicely. Oh, there's a little bit of a bump in our line there. Just smooth that out. And then just pat it also into the bottom of that tail, right along the edge of the tape. Okay. So that's our final result. And that's where we're going to put our lid colours. Now, I didn't mention it before, but I usually use matte shades to blend, and I usually do shimmer shades on my lid. That's just personal preference. You can use whatever you like. Now, once again, I'm going to pause the video and do the other eye, and then I'm going to come back to you and we're going to place some shimmer shades over the top of the lid. Okay, now as you can see, I've got that really nice rounded and then flicked shape on the eyelid. So we're going to go ahead and add our shimmer shades. I usually use 3 shades on the lid, but again, personal preference. You can use 1 shade, you can use 2, you can use 6, whatever you like. The only thing that I usually do is I usually start at the inner corner and I use my lightest shade there because it just makes the eyes look more open. So I'm going to go ahead and place a metallic white colour. Now this brush I'm using is just like an eyeshadow sponge. I just got it for free with a palette that I bought, and it's just really good for actually placing product without blurring it out. So I'm just going to pat it into the inner corner of my eye, and I'm going to take it to about the middle of the eye where the eyeballs kind of at its highest, if that makes sense, like where that crease line it reaches its highest point, I think is what I'm trying to say. Again, just place as much product as personal preference dictates. Again, I like to do 3 layers, but that's just me. So once you get the level of colour that you want it to be, well then that's as much as you place. You know what I mean? Like, some people want a really dramatic look. Some people want a more natural look. And you know what? Whatever you decide is fine. Okay, so I've placed that white colour. Now I'm going to do a really, really nice turquoisey, greeny, bluey colour. So I'm just going to place that right next to the white, and I'm going to start from the middle and just pat it into that part of the cut crease that starts to decline back towards the edge of the eye. That's not very bright, so I'm going to go ahead and place another layer of product. I used like a patting motion the first time. Now I'm kind of brushing it on. I just find that it helps to load the product onto the eye a little bit more. And then usually when I do the 3rd layer, I actually use a downward motion because you get more of the metallic look of the eyeshadow I don't know why that is, but again, that's just my personal preference, and I'm just rubbing it back and forward just to blend it into the white that we did previously. And you can kind of see that blue coming through. It's not all that bright, but you know what? We're going to go with it. And now we're going to add our third colour, which is going to be like a dark blue grey. So I'm just going to grab that product on the sponge. And again, I'm just going to pat that in, but this time, oh, you can see that one really well. I'm just going to pat it along the tape and into the tail of that cut crease. So we're just going to blend it into our blue in the middle, and we're just going to take it all the way up because it just gives us that nice line. And also, once I do my foundation and everything like that, that bit there that's kind of not where it's meant to be will be all covered up anyway. But I just want to get that really, really nice line initially so that everything's straight and really, really like sharp. I love those sharp, really crisp lines. So that's what we're working towards. Okay. So I'm just, again, blending the third colour into the second blue colour. And so that's what we've got as our final result. Now, you can't really see the difference in the colours, but I will post a photo of the finished look afterwards. So again, I'm just going to go ahead off camera and do the other eye, and then I'll be right back. Okay everyone, so that's basically how I do my shadow. I'm not going to do my graphic liner or anything like that on camera. I'm just going to post a photo at the end because I'm just trying to save on time on the video so that I've got the most chance of uploading. But again, if you want to see how I do eyeliner and graphic liner and skincare and all of those things, just leave me a little comment and I'll get back to you. And I will post a photo of the finished product at the end, maybe in the middle of the day today, but for now, yeah, that's the extended cut crease eyeshadow. So just let me know if you enjoy this video or if you want to see anything else that I do. Thanks everyone. Bye.